Well, hello, Benjies. Welcome to the BingeWorthy podcast, part of the Geekish Network. My name is Johnny Randolph, or you can just call me Randy. I am a speaker, a trainer, and a podcaster. And I have two outstanding co-hosts with me. My first co-host, well, this young lady, she is an actress, she's a writer, she's a director, she's just a flat-out superstar. Say hello to everybody, Miss Courtney Scott, right?
Hello, hello.
And my next co-host, this guy, what can I say about him? He is an entrepreneur. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's a game designer. He's part owner of the Geekish Network. Chuck, say what's up to the people, man.
What's up, peoples? How y'all doing out there tonight?
And we are the BingeWorthy podcast. How's everybody doing? How y'all feeling?
Feeling good. Exhausted.
Good.
Yeah, man.
Hungry.
Hungry. Hey, man, you know, ain't nothing wrong with that. We didn't have the full crew here last week, but now we got the crew back. We're like Voltron whenever we come together.
What
we not
review
Voltron?
did you give Harley Quinn?
Huh?
What review did you give Harley Quinn last week?
We gave it a full binge out. I gave it a full binge out. Chuck gave it a full binge out, and Centel gave it a full meal. So that came out to a full binge out.
Yep.
You want to weigh in real quick? You know, a little carryover. You want to weigh in? All right.
I didn't. It was okay. I thought that it missed some of its like the specialness. I thought it became more about Ivy and Harley, and I really just wanted Harley Quinn.
Okay.
You wanted crew love? You wanted the whole crew?
Yeah. I just wanted it to be more of the ensemble, all ensemble.
Okay. All right. Well, we moving on. This week we are talking CyberPunk Endgame. If you have never watched our show before, then the premise is each week we will binge watch a television series, and then we come right here to the BingeWorthy podcast to talk about that series. At the beginning of our show, we will rate it using our unique BingeWorthy scale. Then we engage in conversation. We will talk about the characters, the production, the actors, the full spectrum of that series. And at the end, we will re-rate it. Now, sometimes our co-hosts can influence us to change that rating. Some instances, they can influence us to lift it up, and others just to drag it all the way down to the flow. So speaking of our binge-worthy scale, it is as followed. At a number 5 is what we call a full binge out. That means this property is outstanding, it's dynamic, it is a can't miss. At a number 4 is what we call a full meal. Full meal, it's not quite a full binge out, but it is definitely worth your time. It's not quite a full binge out watching it. At a number 3, we call it a mini meal. A mini meal is not bad. It's just not good either. It is kind of, I can take it or leave it. Courtney always describes it as a bland TV dinner, and I always add without any of that Lowry seasoning. At a number 2, we call it a snack. A snack, well, it's edible, but you're not going to enjoy it. It's a bag of old Cheetos just up in the cabinet, and you're too lazy to go out to the store. You're not going to enjoy this at all. No nutritional value, nothing. Just those stale Cheetos or Doritos, and that's it. And at a number 1, we call it a cringe-worthy. A cringe-worthy just means this is some old bullshit. Why the hell did I waste my time watching it? And as I said earlier, we are reviewing CyberPunk Edgerunners. The premise is in a dystopia overrun by corruption, crime, and cybernetic implants. An impulsive but talented street kid, after losing everything he has in a drive-by shooting, makes the choice to survive on the wrong side of the law as an edge runner. So now we are going to rate it. Normally we always start with you, Chuck, or me. We're going to start with you tonight, Courtney. How are you going to rate CyberPunk Edge Runner?
Well, I'm kind of torn. I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say. So for me, on one hand, I was leaning toward the mini meal, but on the other hand, for innovation and for graphics and for just design and the colors and the schematic, like all of it, I'm full meal. I don't think I have strong feelings about anime and like what I need to see in the anime and what I don't need to see, and nudity. I don't really need to see that. That's, like nudity and sex and stuff like that. Cartoons getting it on that doesn't do it for me. But so I'm not really the target audience. So that's why I don't feel like it's fair to give it a mini meal. I did think that the story could have been a little bit stronger, but I love the design. I loved all the innovation. I just thought the story was very Super Crooks, but without the finesse. So I'm gonna say full meal, just because I thought it was very innovative and I liked the design and stuff like that. But in my heart, it's a mini meal. So I don't know. I'm sorry, that didn't really like anything.
I need a rating, Miss Courtney Scott, right? Now you're not getting off with that.
I'm gonna go with full meal.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with full meal, but I thought the story was really weak, so I'm on the fence.
Okay. All right, so we'll go full meal. So the action in CyberPunk Edge Runner, it is vivid, it is frequent, it is gory, and it is fast. And the action, to me, is so prominent that it becomes another character in this. In a batch that already has, to me, some very interesting characters. I enjoyed Maine and I enjoyed Becca. I enjoyed Fairdale because, one, it's got a great voice actor behind it. And I, too, what Courtney said, agree that the visuals, it's just astounding to me. And oftentimes we have talked about, does a property need to be an anime, right? Sometimes I felt like people are trying to jump in on the anime craze. But for this one, I thought this project was perfect for what an anime is. And it screamed out loud with these vivid colors and fast pace and this goriness, and that part I just loved. Now, I am in total agreement with Courtney. This show is not without its problems. And one of them being story. The story was not, to me, the strongest in the world. It wasn't original, and it just didn't necessarily resonate with me. But with that being said, I feel like the makers of this understood the mission and they understood who their target audience was. And if you understand what your targeted audience is, you can deliver. And I felt for all of those things, it did deliver. I enjoyed it immensely. I'm going to give it a full binge out. So that's what I'm going with. Chuck,
Okay.
how about you?
Okay. Man, I feel like Courtney felt really interesting. Studio Trigger is one of my favorite anime studios. Everybody, them and Mappa do no wrong for me. So I thought it was beautiful. It was everything Trigger delivers, from Kill La Kill to BNA. It gave me everything they do very well. But it was really the story. And it wasn't that the story was bad. It's just I've seen it so many times done at a higher level. Done at a higher level.
We saw it
And
last week with Gavin
Yeah.
with Tekken.
Tekken, yeah. It's like I've
The
seen
exact
this
same
story,
part.
and I understood. For the cyberpunk fan, for the person that bought this game from CD Projekt Red when it was broken and bought it when it got fixed and loved every minute of it, I see them being in love with this. It's a full binge out for them. It gave them more of their world. They brought in Atom Smasher. Atom Smasher is the main enemy in that video game. I didn't play the video game, so I have no affinity towards Atom Smasher. When he popped up, I was like, "Who's this guy? Why is he so badass?" I didn't understand why he was so badass, and I looked at Atom Smasher. And Atom Smasher is the main enemy, so I knew he had to live. I did love Lucy. I did love David. I love them as characters. I loved how David crushed over Lucy, how he fell over her. And I love Rebecca. People don't understand. Rebecca is one of my favorite characters, and I think Giancarlo is Giancarlo. And I started off in Japanese. I was like, oh, this is not made for Japanese. Because the
Yeah,
voice acting didn't match up. Then I switched over to English, like, oh my God, they got an amazing English voice cast here. Then I looked up everybody that's English voices, like, they're superstars in voice acting. I said, they need to put this on the front of it. Watch in English, preferably. Don't get me wrong, the Japanese voice cast is really good, but they over exaggerate a lot of things. But you watch the lips move and stuff, they move to the English dialogue. And I was like, yeah, I need to get this warning. So I had to start over the first 3 episodes. But I'm giving it, because of the story, a mini meal. And it's not that it's bad, it just wasn't enough. Talk me up, Randy. Talk me up, because everything else I loved.
that's exactly where I am.
I even
Chelsea.
love the characters.
That's why I was like, because of all the things that I love outweighed the things that I thought were basic. That's exactly why I was wishy-washying.
Yeah, I get it.
And
I
she yelled
get it.
at me like, you got to make a decision. And I was
Because I
like,
wanted to
"Oh,
get this.
no."
I wanted to get us a full binge out, but I can't put in the same category as Arcane.
I just can't. Exactly. That is a perfect example. I just can't do that.
And so cumulatively, we've got a full meal. So that's where we're starting at. Now, I do not disagree with either one of you. As I said, I thought the story was weak as well, but I felt like this series knew its audience, and its audience didn't care as much about a really complex or a good story. I felt like fans of this video game is like, yes, this is what we need. And for that, understanding the mission, I felt like they delivered on it. And it was bright, it was loud, it was fast, it was gory. And like, that's all they really cared about.
Did you play the game?
I didn't. I'm going to ask one of you all, both of you all, did any of you play this game before?
Okay.
No.
I was waiting for them to fix the game. Then I realized I got too many other games to play play a game that's 80 hours long.
No, I didn't. And so when I discovered that it was a video game, helped me kind of like judge on a curve, if that makes sense. That's kind of why I move the needle even more so. Like, I thought the pilot was so, I'm sorry, I thought the pilot was so weak. The story in the pilot hurt me so much. I was so frustrated. Like, I fell asleep. and it didn't really get exciting until, unfortunately, like after his mom died, and then he got that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, say again.
Yeah, he got the Sandestine.
Get the sand, yes, that thing. And so like I even missed the fact that like it was in his mother's things. Like when they gave it to, like, I missed that. I had to go back and see like where he even, I was like, where he get this? Like, so then to find out that his mom was the one who, that's how she was putting him through school, is that she was running this black market kind of thing. That did help. It made it a little bit more interesting. You know what I mean? Like her death wasn't just like, oh, she was killed in a random drive-by. Like she wasn't, but it wasn't enough to change the fact that it was still a basic story.
See, and I love the fact that his mother got killed halfway into it. I feel like those are things that animes do, and they do well. It's like we get a character and we just kill him, and we don't
exactly though, Randy. That's my exact point. That's what they do. That's what happens in the exact same point in the story. It happens, so it's cliche. Like I said, like in Tekken, it happened in Tekken, like legitimately exactly the same way. Like she comes the big bad like 8 minutes in, and then we lose mom. You know what I mean? It's just formulaic.
In every Disney movie, you lose mom.
You lose mom. You lose mom at tragedy, and you leave this kid to become to like fend for himself. And I'm like, it's overdone. I'm not saying leave mom, but like,
and I don't think it's original. I don't think it's original, but they did it in such a graphic and bloody way. They're just driving down the street, and then it's just a hail of bullets in the drive-by, and I'm like, this is amazing.
That scene was good. It was a strong scene. That's trigger.
But the more interesting thing about that scene for me was it was interesting, and it was a little too realistic. The fact that we see within their society the class structure and basically the caste system, and how like if you don't have a certain amount of money, you can't even get ambulatory care. Like they just, oh, we're not gonna help her, she doesn't have good insurance, bye. You know what I mean? Like that was fucked up. Like I kind of like fucked me up a little bit. I was like, damn, you know what I mean? Like that was a little bit too much dystopian reality that I didn't necessarily need in my life. But she didn't even die in the drive-by. She probably would have lived had she had better insurance. Yeah. So that's too much realism.
Yes, and they emphasize that, right? Like you have to have great insurance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that I like that about it, because I was like, maybe that's part of the game world too, because in that game there's a lot of shooting, there's a lot of killing, and it's all broken up in factions and gangs. And cybernetics are very important. That's the new currency. And if you use too many cybernetics, you lose your soul and you go crazy. Like that makes total sense to me. Yeah, but I like the characters. I liked all the characters. There's not a character I didn't like.
I agree.
Let's jump into Courtney. You are an actress. How did you feel about the voice over quality for this show? Did you watch it in Japanese or did you watch it in English?
So it's interesting because my usual go-to in an anime is Japanese. And so initially in our chat stream, Chuck put it in and was like, yeah, watch it in English because the English is better than Japanese. And I was like, really? Because I was still like, I hadn't really like, I think I was in the first episode, and I heard there was a rhythm to the American that I was like, I don't know if I like this. But then I listened to the Japanese and I was like, dang, I can see what Chuck is talking about, because it really did lend towards the American, even with the pace and the music and the visuals. You almost needed that. You needed that rhythm of speech, and it didn't fit well with the dialogue, the Japanese dialogue for me, which is a first. Legitimately, it's a full first. I've never said this ever, but I preferred the English, like Chuck.
Okay. Chuck, man, I'm you huge anime fan. I know you are. How well do you think the animation and the art style for this series compared against other animes?
Amazing, amazing. I think there's only two other companies that compete against Trigger, Studio Trigger, and one of those is Mappa, and the other one, Gainax, of course, that's where they both came from. Is from that studio. When it died, they broke into these other two. Um, and these in Studio Fortage, which is a French studio, because they did an amazing job with Arcane. They mixed the both
Oh,
worlds very well.
it was a French studio that
It
did
was a French studio that did it. Portage is a French studio.
Arcane was phenomenal.
Phenomenal French studio. They took what's good about French animation and what's great about Japan's anime and combined both of those techniques and made something amazing. There was a couple of scenes in that Studio Trigger did. I almost cried because they were held back to Evangelion. And Evangelion is a masterpiece in itself about a kid that suffers with loneliness and depression, and him trying to prove himself. And it's the times when David was on the screen, he was looking out the window, and all you heard was sounds and voices, and he was just staring. I think it was right after his mom died, and they held that they showed that freeze frame for like 15 seconds, and I was like, wow, because you felt like who he was there. He was just
there was
alone.
I did enjoy the timing that they gave to the shots. Like there was a really cool shot of him standing on a ledge when he was about to jump off. At that point he had the enhancement. So I think if he hadn't had it and him jumping off, he would have probably really injured himself. And since he didn't have insurance, he probably would have died. But just seeing him, it was almost like the fact that he landed safely was almost like upsetting to him. But there were some super weird shots. Did anybody notice like there would just be a shot of a ceiling fan or a shot of shoes?
Yes.
Or shot of knees? And that stuff was weird.
That's very anime. That's very, very Evangelion, where they go to steal things in the room. It's cheap, number one, and it breaks up that the focus is always on the character. You have to focus on the environment, because the environment is always a character in anime.
Agreed.
I know I'm getting really nerdy into anime. I'm nerding out right now.
No, I
Yeah,
understand that and I support that, but it's usually a scenery thing that they give you. That's like either it's a moving scenery or a stock scenery, kind of like I have Mount Fuji behind me. Like they would give us like the sunshine over a backdrop or like a moving car, but just seeing somebody's knees.
Yeah,
that didn't do that. That didn't seem normal. I mean, not normal. That's normal is not the right word. It didn't seem what is the word I'm looking for? Something that happens all the time. It just didn't
common. It didn't seem common.
It didn't seem common. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When you watch as much anime as me, that's common. Like slice of life anime does it. Like there'll be like a couple walking down the neighborhood, and it'll cut away from them. I'm thinking of Rent a Girlfriend. It cuts to a bale. Rent a Girlfriend. It's an anime.
Rent a Girlfriend. That sounds like Lars and the Real Girl.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. But they cut to a scene of a bale outside of a shop. The main characters aren't walking to the shop or walking from the shop. They're actually walking to the train station, but it just cuts to the scene of the shop and the door shutting and the bell dinging back and forth. The tea shop has no purpose in it at all. But animate some and particularly slice of life animes, they do that a lot. They cut to something that's in the environment, but the characters aren't involved with. It's weird, but yeah, it is. We see somebody rub their knees or focus on the knee. They do it
and he had rubbed his knees because there's dialogue happening.
They're always
like knee shot or shoe shots or ceiling fan. If he had rubbed his knee, I think I would have been okay with it, because there was this one scene where this weird dude, like it was a shot of like a dude and it was his crotch, and there seemed to be some kind of canister like on his crotch.
Yes, yes, a masturbation machine
device. Exactly. And so I was like, that was weird, but it was also interesting because it was stock, but it was different. And I didn't need to see that dude and his masturbation device, but it was interesting.
Yeah. I don't know why I don't know why Japanese art and anime do things like that, but they do it in their novels too. Like some Japanese novels, they'll be talking about the story, and also they'll have a page they'll describe something in the room that's not even the room what the characters are in.
And I'm so good with all of those little weird things because to me it's just a different form of storytelling.
Storytelling,
And
yeah.
I get so caught up in what should be or what shouldn't be and westernized forms of storytelling that when I see something like that, I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like for me, even a lot of those shots, their eye expression, the way the blood looked, the sounds of things, all of these were like another character in this for me. And it helped it I don't want to say it helped. It enhanced the quality of the storytelling for me because we did have kind of a weak like narrative plot, but for those type of things, I thought it just added to it, and it was so much fun to go through those things.
I
Again,
agree.
I
I agree with
enjoyed
you.
those.
In terms of like the blood, and just how like you one shot you get of him, you cross over to one character and then you cross back to the character you were just on, and then there's like blood, or you can see there's visible bruising, and like like with fight scenes and stuff like that. Like I totally 100% agree with that. Those are other elements of just like creating your environment and enhancing your world. And I don't want it to. I totally understand like what you're saying about like Western thinking, and I hadn't really thought about that. I don't I don't mind. It's fine. It's weird to me when I see it in live action. When somebody like live action American shows, when I just get a shot of somebody's toes, like I don't need a shot of just random toes. You know what I mean? Like, what these toes got to do anything? Are they moving the story forward? That's my whole point. Are you moving the story forward with the shot of these toes? And if it's not moving the story forward, I don't need a shot of some random toes. That's all.
Yeah, that's one of the beauties of Japanese storytelling. Not everything moves the story forward. You know, there's moments we have to take breaths for life, and things that happen. They're not the only things in this world. That's how they beckon. Like they're not the only things here. But I think the environmental storytelling of this show was by far some of the best I've ever seen.
Really good.
When he jumped into the trash the first time, when he jumped off the first time, and he was safe, and he just felt it was like a leap of faith, and you knew it was. Then when he put the then when he put the Sand Devastain on his back for the first time, and he did it again. Like he was like, I landed in the trash again, and I knew nothing was going to happen this time.
Okay.
So, and this how they told the story of the school, what the school was like, and how he had bootleg software update.
Oh man, I felt so bad for him.
I felt bad for him too.
Because he was trying to like not have his mom have to buy him the update because he knew she couldn't afford it because she couldn't pay for the washing machine, which that was fucked up. You didn't put money in the washing machine. I felt so bad. But like when he shorted out everybody's headset because he gave everybody a virus, that shit was amazing.
It was amazing.
So we'll start with you, Chuck, then we'll go to you, Courtney. How do we feel about David? He's our protagonist of it. Chuck, how do you feel about David?
I like David because we watched his rise and fall. Like he had a full story. He had a Shakespearean hero character arc, really, overall. We watched his rise to prominence. We watched his addiction because he got addicted to it. And then everybody gave the warning. Don't use it too much. Don't upgrade too much. Don't do this. This leads to cyber psychosis. We don't want to do this. We see what happens when people go cyber psychosis. It's known. And he was one of those people who were willing to do it. And he kind of blamed Lucy for it because she took him to the moon to keep him stalled out, and so Manny and them could show up. And that moon scene was amazing.
That moon scene was beautiful.
I was like, that's how the moon is supposed to be in virtual reality, going to the moon.
Okay. Courtney, David, he jumps in. Well, what do you think about David first? How do you feel about our protagonist throughout the series?
He's all right.
He's all right. And I felt the same way.
He was just less interesting than everybody else. He was just kind of like, he was just there to move the story forward.
He was the foil, but he was a classic Shakespearean hero.
He was, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
He was the hero and the foil.
Mm-hmm.
He was both.
He was the
So,
character.
huh?
I was just saying he's the character that I actually liked the least throughout the whole series.
He just wasn't. He just wasn't really special per se. And and it's hard to say that. I just he just kind of was. He was just kind of there. You know, even when his mother, like he lost his mother. I don't need him. Obviously in anime, it's like their inner turmoil is the story. It's not going to be an external outward show of emotion or anything like that. But even within like the story itself, like it just kind of seemed like he was probably using the cyber tech as a way to avoid his feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, no, I think he just thought he got it really too invested in like the girl too soon, too fast, like too easily. And I mean, yeah, you noticed her doing some stuff on the train, and then all of a sudden, like you liking her, and you getting taken in by a fucking moon trip. And I guess it's a typical teenage boy, but like,
I believe it.
I mean, she was half dressed with her ass hanging out, so I can't really fault him for that. But it just kind of was like, man.
Okay. All right. So David, he falls in, with the cyberpunks. His crew is like Lucy, Maine, Becca, and some other ones. Chuck, any of these characters stick out to you, good or bad?
Yes, I really like Becca, Rebecca, and I like Maine a lot too. One thing I want to say about their relationship too, when I watched David, he was the main character in Evangelion. For Western cinema, he was similar to Jared Leto's character in Requiem for a Dream or Harry Goldfarb. Like he reminded me of that character as well. But he was very similar to, if you ever watch Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is on Netflix, they got the exclusive rights to it. It's one of the things I helped bring in. Shinji, he was kind of like that main character, and he was doing the perfect avoidance. But Rebecca, I loved Rebecca because she was about that life. And I like Maine because Maine was overall, he's a good character.
Yeah.
He runs a criminal organization, but he's still a good character.
I thought he was fair and equitable because he even tells David that like everybody here gets their cut, and I make sure that we divide everything evenly. I thought that was dope. And Becca, to me, she was my second favorite character because she was about that life and she was ride and die for anybody that was around her. I was like, yeah, she's dope. And her look was so curious and eccentric to me that I just fell in love with that character. I thought she was dope.
And her brother was kind of cool too.
Thought a lot of them were. Yeah. Courtney, any character in the Cyberpunk gang stick out to you for good or for bad reasons?
I mean, it's kind of like what you said earlier about Giancarlo Esposito. Like his voice is just so engaging. Like it just draws you in. No matter what character he's playing, he's just so you can't turn away.
Yeah.
So
we know it's him.
You know,
we just want more of him.
Putting him into this role, like it doesn't even matter that the character looks nothing like him. He's there.
Like, Faraday is like, yeah, I believe Faraday. Yeah. He's about that life.
I was like, that Giancarlo? So I had to pause and I'm like, is that him in this anime? I was like, Jesus Christ. But he killed it in that work. And he was my favorite character in it. So like, do we feel like he's a quality villain for this series? Or is he even a villain?
That's the question, right? Because I won't call Faraday a villain. Like, because he was like, yeah, I'm doing this stuff for Militech. But
Oliver Twist.
Yeah, it was like Arakasa's is going to give me immunity and promote me up the line. I'm using this street game to get all the things I need. What difference does it make?
I mean, it's Oliver Twist, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, he's Nancy, Oliver, David is Oliver, and he's Megan,
Never thought about that.
In a way, it's just,
that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
honestly, Lucy might be the Artful Dodger. She's like a combination of both characters. But it's just oh god, I forgot what I was just about to say. Chucky, say something. I just lost my thought.
Yeah.
Sorry. I got caught up in Oliver Twist, and then I just like went off on a tangent. Sorry. I know what I was gonna say.
Mhm.
Faraday isn't really, I don't think the villain, because he's very straightforward. You know, like even when when he was like, what do you mean? I just talked to her yesterday. I just talked to Gloria Martinez 2 days ago. How is she dead? That shit was hilarious to me. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like I thought that he didn't really pull any punches.
I thought he was a pragmatist.
Yeah.
Like there was a means to why he was doing
Mhm.
everything he was doing.
Mhm.
It was
And
not
we
necessarily
saw his goal.
sinister, and it wasn't necessarily sinister. It was like efficiency, right? This is
Mhm.
the best route that we need to pursue for this.
Yeah. One thing I found very interesting, if I had to say the villain of anything, it was capitalism.
Mm.
Capitalism felt like the villain in this, as everything revolved around that. Tanaka's son, everybody's about capitalism. And every 5 seconds, who had the better insurance plan, who had the recovery plan, and the insurance company was there if your plan was great.
Right.
You get the platinum plan, they're there in like 10 minutes.
Well, it was kind of like Tanaka, once he realized that because the tech had been shoddy on certain people and had reacted badly, and that David had a certain gene that allowed him to adhere. It adhered to him in a way, like it was very Blue Beetle. Also, it adhered to him in a way that maybe probably because he was young and his body and his system was, you know, pliable, malleable.
Yeah, malleable to
like,
it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like they could use him. You know, it's like we're using him to we'll give him this and keep him. Yeah.
Even in the end, like he was malleable, like it was going to wear down on him eventually. There wasn't anything so uniquely special about him that he was going to be like the savior of the day. Like the more tech he uploaded, the more weaker he became. The more vulnerable he became. It just took him a little longer than the average person.
But it was the multiple uses too.
Yeah.
Because they told him in the very first, like, nobody should be using it this much. And he was like, what was it? Like up to like 10 times in the first day?
First day, yes.
Yeah. And you could see it. You could see it from when he goes from like puny David to like big strong David. And Solo, you saw them cracks in there. Like the
saw him breaking
more pronounced, and you saw him breaking down throughout the series.
He was trying to feel like he had something to prove. Like he said, I had to do this for my mom. I did this for Maine, because after Maine died, he took Maine's arms. He said, "I want your arms," and he put them on. And then you saw him when he was in the room with Lucy, when nobody knew he was still with Lucy because she broke away from everybody. And then she's laying down. He's sitting up looking because he's going through one of those fits, and you can see her, and she was there, and she was like, you see how big he was. Like, this man's upgraded a lot.
Yeah, and seemed like a really short amount of time. It's like, geez, he got big. So it made me wonder, was Maine's transition that fast or that big? Because Maine was huge, but he started off looking like David used to look.
And initially,
So it made me wonder about that. I was like, Jesus Christ, he got big.
And Rebecca's changed. Like, Rebecca was normal size. Her arm was normal size to her body. And then after her brother died, her arms were long like his. Like, her brother got those super long arms. When he died, she turned and got longer arms.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Okay.
She got ape-like arms after he died.
That was my girl, man, because she was about that life.
She was about that life.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, I just wasn't the demographic.
Yeah. It was a kill type of show.
Yeah.
I don't mind kill. I don't know. It didn't draw me in. not 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to the point that like Randy was like, I'm a full binge out. Like I was engaged by the look of it and the innovation and just the way that they handled certain things and included certain things, which is why, I went the way that I did.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with either of you. I just feel like that was the mission for
That was the mission. They nailed the
And
mission.
They understood. Yeah, you're right. I think you're
Right.
right.
For me, it
You're
was like,
absolutely right.
okay, I get it. And I was like, yeah, I'm all aboard for it. Like, I suspended a lot of things, right? I didn't go
Mhm.
in depth like, why would they do that? I was like, all right, let's shoot up and let's kill some people and let's make this gory. It was only it was 10 episodes, about 22 minutes. And I was like, yeah, this is just a fun roller coaster ride. And that's it.
Yeah, is there anybody in the chat who watched this or had played the video game?
Mark said he hadn't seen it yet, so he didn't know, and we don't have anybody else that commented.
Yeah, comment on the chat. Yeah.
I don't know.
But-
So I don't know. So I know I did read reviews that a lot of people who did play the video game were very satisfied with it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Rotten Tomatoes gave it 100 for the critics, and then the viewers of it gave it a 97. So,
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it
That's-
is beloved. It
yeah,
is
so
beloved.
that's something that you don't always get. Like, you might get the critics at 100, and then the viewers are like, man, that shit was like 50. It was trash. And,
Yeah.
like,
It's very rare. Like Arcane is probably the one that I've ever seen that was like perfect.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the viewers were in line with what the critics thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Go ahead.
after watching what Studio Trigger's done, but I tell y'all haven't seen Kill La Kill, go see Kill La Kill. Because that's like
I
their
haven't
first
seen Kill La
outing. What's up?
It's on Netflix, isn't it? Because I think I saw
It's on
it.
Netflix. It's
Yeah,
on
it
Netflix.
Yeah, I
And
think
it's about student uniforms. And I say that to you, watch it, you're like, oh, I get it. It's so good. And it's like one of the first outings. You're like, wow, the things they do in it. It was sharp. It's about girls beating up on other girls.
Do we think we get a season 2? Courtney, you think we get a season 2?
Yes.
Okay. Would you be interested in watching the season 2?
If y'all wanted me to.
Oh, no. Chuck, would you be interested? You think we get a season 2?
Yeah, I think we get a season 2.
Would you like to see a season 2?
Yes, because we'll have a whole different set of characters.
Oh, really?
David's dead.
Well, I mean, he's dead, but I don't know.
David's dead. And
Lucy, real dead.
Lucy's on the moon now. And the only thing that's standard is Rebecca. And well, she's dead. Rebecca's dead. So the crew, only person that's still alive is Lucy and the getaway driver. I forgot his name.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think we'll have a whole different set of characters. Adam Smasher is the constant. Adam Smasher.
That was something I would have thought they would have built out a little more, but hey, like you said, he was just there to, fuck shit up and serve.
That's what he does in the video game.
Final four, as a final four to David, in his enhanced state.
Yep.
Right. So we're gonna rewrite this thing. Chuck, how you gonna rewrite it, man?
Man, after listening to y'all talk, I'm going from mini meal to full meal. It's a full meal from me.
So we're gonna go full meal.
I'm gonna move it up to full meal. Yeah.
I'm gonna stick at my full binge out because, like I said, I felt like they understood the mission. The storytelling was not great or interesting or innovative by any certain things. It could hinge on cliche, but I was just like, man, they really shoot bullets. These caps is really raining down, and his blood and his. I was like, okay, I dug this. So I'm gonna keep mine at a full binge out. Courtney, how you gonna rate it?
I'm gonna stay I'm solid now at a full meal, just because remembering all of mainly it was the design, the graphic design, the environment, the world that they created, and the characters. Even though I didn't think the story itself was fully as strong as it could have been, as strong as I like a story to be as strong as your characters are. So, and I just don't think. I think it could have been more, but I'm a hard, solid full meal because of all the innovation and the beauty of it. The beauty of it, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me in look of Jujutsu Kaisen, like the colors and just the way that they moved the way that some of the like it reminded me of like Itadori and the girl with the roses, the girl with the tattoos on her arms. Do you know that girl? Like when they had that final battle and where they were moving, it reminds me of that in some ways. So I just like the innovation. So that's why I'm staying Full Meal.
Okay, good stuff. And Jujutsu Kaisen is just that shit. I mean, that dude.
If they don't come out with it, I was the one person that not one, it was like 10 people in the audience. They went to see Jujutsu Kaisen 0 at the movie theater.
Nice.
I sure did. I sure did. And it explained so much. So
huge in Japan,
movie, if you have a chance to watch that movie, Randy or Chuck, I don't know if you did already, but if you have a chance to watch it because it explains so much. There's things that happen in season 1 that just blow by you that you don't even understand until you watch that movie and you're like, oh shit, that did happen. Oh, this is the person they mentioned that was not there. Yep.
Okay, good shit.
But back to the show.
You got anything before we head out? You got anything to say before we head out?
Oh no, man. I mean, thank you all for moving it up for me because I was like, this is a solid mini meal. The story's kind of weak. And I've seen this a million times in anime, and I've seen it a million times. But after talking to you all, y'all made me say, this is a solid full meal. You know,
I want to take credit for that because both of you all were on the fence. Y'all came in with y'all mini meal, maybe full meal, and I am taking credit for causing you to say.
Okay, you can take that. You can take it. You can take it. And to you, Randy, I agree. If I played the game and I was a super fan of this series, this is a full binge out. But for somebody that doesn't know it at all, you know.
I totally will give you the props.
Yeah.
When you started with me, it was like deer in headlights, and I was like, "Really, Randy? Really?" I was hoping that y'all were gonna convince me onto one way. And so then when I had to be honest, and Chuck was like, "I'm the exact same place, Courtney." I was like, "Really?" Because I thought for sure I was gonna get roasted.
No. Go with your gut. Always go with your gut, Courtney. Go with your gut. Go with your gut.
Yeah. And we can always change it.
Yeah, we can always change.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell y'all, we become a solid full meal because, it
went from mini meal to a solid full meal. Listening to you all.
Before we came with our dual system, right? There used to be times I would watch a show, I'd be like, that shit is trash. And then we talked through it, and then I completely changed my rating by the end of the show. I never told y'all that, but I was like, man, I don't know what the hell. But then we talked through it, I was like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't say nothing because I'd have been looking stupid. But yeah, it was a good series. So yeah, it's why we do what we do here.
Yes.
Miss Courtney Scott, right? Do you have anything before we head out, ma'am?
What are we doing next week?
We are doing, we're doing
the Imperfects.
The Imperfects.
Yep, it's on.
Okay, so y'all tune in next week because we are doing the Imperfects, and I hope y'all have a geeked out and good night.
All right. Well, for all you binges out there, thank you for tuning in. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, so don't forget to hit those subscribe buttons or those like buttons. We want you all to come back. The Geekish Network, we are an organization devoted to people of color. We have Latinx, African American, Asian, the full spectrum. We are all about inclusion. And we have people that are behind the camera, tech, production, etc., etc. We have people that are in front of the camera, actors, as writers, directors, all of those things. And we do this for people who look like you. We are content creators for people who look like you. So please spread the word about us, share us, like us on our socials. Support us. And until then, we will talk to you guys later. Same geek time, same geek channel. Peace.